Alright, and in the immortal words of Bruce Buffer, we are recording. Welcome back to another episode of Rolling with the Punches with me, Pez.
And me, Quinn.
This week we're discussing UFC in Vegas 21, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad.
Yes.
Bit of a top-heavy card, this one, but that particular fight is one we're very interested in being Brits.
Of course.
We've also got Darren Stewart, Darren the dentist, fighting further down the card. But yeah, main event tonight. Matchup no one saw coming, I think.
It just didn't really make sense to me, personally. I think we spoke about this a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem like a fight that he should have been having at this point in his career.
I feel like Leon Edwards has been a bit hard done by here.
Yeah.
I could kind of see the sense in the matchmaking with Khamzat Chimaev in that no one really knew how good he was, but by all intents and purposes, he'd smashed up everyone he'd been in the ring with, so why not chuck him in against with someone with a high ranking next to their name. But for me, I think the fact that Chimaev was ranked 14th, kind of artificially, seems to have pushed the UFC to be matching Leon Edwards up with a guy of a similar position. So I think Belal Muhammad is ranked 12th or 13th in the division at the moment. Don't see why they're putting the number 3 guy against number 12.
No.
For me, that makes no sense whatsoever. But still going to be an intriguing matchup.
If anything, he's on an 8-win streak at the moment. This is going to add another one to that. And then surely a title shot is due his way.
You would think. I mean, the last loss of his career was to Kamaru Usman in the first place. I believe back in 2016, something like that. Maybe even further back than that. So it's been a long time since he's lost.
So surely,
and only to the very best of the division, as I say.
So surely putting together another a rematch for the title makes complete sense.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would have preferred to see Edwards matched up against Jorge Masvidal. There's already a bit of backstory with there.
That bit's been going on.
Or a Colby Covington, because in my opinion, kind of similar down at lightweight. You got to go through Poirier to get to the title.
Yeah.
I think it's almost that case with Covington at welterweight. I think he's clearly the number 2 guy in the division, so you got to go through him to get to the belt. I would have thought. So in that sense, it'd be good for Edwards to pick up another win, put him on a 9-fight win streak, which at the moment, because of some of the upsets we've seen recently, one of the longest streaks kind of active in the UFC. But I don't really see what he would improve about him that we don't already know.
Yeah,
it's almost a lose-lose for him in that sense. Whereas Belal Muhammad is completely the other way around. I think
he's got a chance to beat the number 3 fighter in his division.
Yeah, and I think he is fully capable of winning this fight.
Absolutely.
He is a pressure fighter. Whether that will hold up over 5 rounds, I don't know. And if I was going to put money on it, I'd say Edwards has got better cardio. And his all-round game is just it's more rounded. You can tell who's got the better experience out of the two guys. Edwards' wrestling is superior. His striking is superior. His cardio, as far as we know, again, is superior to Muhammad's. Again, we've not seen Muhammad go past the 4th round, so
be an interesting fight for Muhammad.
Names there, but I just can't see him pulling it out of the bag.
No, and personally, I don't really like saying I don't want someone to win, because this is a great sport for people to show how technical they can be. But Edwards deserves to be treated a little bit better than what he is, so I really hope he comes out on top of this.
But his inactivity has not helped him. I mean, granted,
absolutely
been down
not.
to COVID with the pandemic and things, but he's not been in the cage for nearly 2 years now. I think it's 20 months it'll be since he had his last fight, which granted was an impressive win over Rafael dos Anjos, as far as I remember. He's since gone down to lightweight, so I think that win's not aged particularly well, but it was an impressive performance from him. Beating someone of RDO's calibre is never going to be a bad one.
Yeah, no, of course.
Record. But yeah, I think he just needs to get back in and get active. I just can't see this getting a title shot on the back of this fight. So I don't.
Unfortunately,
for me, I think he would have been better in stepping in against a Colby or a Masvidal, but by the looks of things, they're not available. I mean, Wonderboy called him out before the booking against Chimaev, and he turned down Wonderboy on the basis that Wonderboy wasn't high enough ranked. So I wonder now if he could redo that thing again, I think he probably would have taken the Wonderboy fight over either Muhammad or Chimaev. He's kind of leveraged into the Chimaev fight.
It's been so long since I've seen Wonderboy fight, man.
Yeah, when his last fight was against Jeff Neal, dominating performance. I think it's one where Jeff Neal was a bit outmatched from the start. I mean, Wonderboy's up there with the elite of the division.
Yeah.
Knocked him back a peg or two, getting knocked out by Pettis, but that's the first knockout loss of his MMA career in total. In fact, I think of his whole career, I don't think he ever got knocked out in kickboxing. No, so that might have been back a peg or two, but I don't think it should.
Like 77-0, wasn't he, in kickboxing?
Something like that, yeah. It's a crazy record he's got. As far as I know, he's undefeated, or certainly never been knocked out in any combat sport until Pettis put that Superman punch on him. But for me, I think Edwards should have taken that fight when it was offered.
Yeah.
that probably would have got him a title shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beating Bilal Muhammad, I don't think will.
No.
Conversely, though, for Bilal Muhammad, I think if he gets this win, again he'll probably have to have another fight beforehand, but he could happily fight. Potentially Covington. I think the Usman Masvidal rematch is almost close to being booked and completed now.
Yeah.
Which does leave Covington and Edwards and Wonderboy unbooked at the top. Well, and Gilbert Burns, of course.
Gilbert Burns, obviously, after his loss, what are we going to see from him?
I mean, you can throw him in the mix as well. It's just, for me, Edwards is still going to have to fight one of these guys. So I'm glad he's getting active again. I'm glad we get to see him back in the cage. But I think there's a lot of people are hoping to see him lose just because he's not the most exciting fighter. He's never really managed to win the American crowd round. So this doesn't do a lot for him, but if nothing else, it does get him active again. Moving on to the co-main event.
Yeah.
Misha Sirkanov versus Ryan Spann. I mean, this card is very top heavy. We're only going to touch on the rest of the fights really, but this one has kind of got some divisional significance, especially with Jan Blachowicz looking like an active champion, starting to get that division moving a bit better again.
Yeah, starting performance from him.
Yeah, Ryan Spann, he came off on I think he got knocked out by Johnny Walker in his last fight. But he's got quite a wrestling heavy game. Misha Sirkanov again is fairly well rounded. He lost to Johnny Walker as well. Not too long ago, quite an impressive victory actually. I think Johnny Walker knocked him out with a flying knee within the first few minutes. Since got back on the horse, but I think out of the two of them, Misha Sirkanov's he's the more rounded fighter. Ryan Spann's not like anything special. I think he's coming into quite a thin division off the back of the Contender Series, and that's the only reason he's been signed. So,
I haven't seen these fighters, so it's going to be interesting for me.
Yeah, I think if I was to bet, I'd say Misha Sirkanov's probably going to get a submission before the rounds are over. But it's hard to say. And honestly, I don't think either of the guys are even ranked at the moment. So, I mean, maybe it's an opportunity for Sirkanov to get back on the horse. I think if Ryan Spann should lose this, he's probably going to find himself in Bellator in his next fight.
Oh, really?
Not the hope for anyone to get sacked, but he's not on a great run. And if you can't beat Walker or Sirkanov, you probably don't belong in the UFC in the first place. He's certainly not got aspirations for the title. So that's that one. Next back down to the featherweight division. We've got Dan Ige versus Garen Tucker. Dan Ige is, if anything, he's proven himself to be a solid action fighter. He beat Edson Barboza in Barboza's debut back down at featherweight. A lot of people thought he lost the fight, but he picked up the win on the scorecards. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Lost his last outing, but again, I think he's trying to get back on the horse. I just can't see either of these guys being champ.
No.
I think this is it's one to get a paycheck in people's bank, but in terms of sort of significance in the division.
The top of featherweight though is pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC. Garen Tucker again is a reasonably talented fighter. He's got a wicked wrestling game, but I just can't see him beating the top end of the division there. But prove us wrong. I mean, that's why these fights are on. You can't just sort of make two fights every week because they're the only ones who could win the title.
Of course.
Sometimes these two guys do make a turnaround, and they really do surprise you. Also on the card, you've got Jonathan Martinez and Davey Grant on the main card, and Manuel Cap versus Matheus Nicolau. Another few guys in the Contender Series there, just kind of starting to make their way in the UFC.
Be interesting to see how far they've come.
Yeah, we'll probably review those afterwards and kind of make a bit of a report on their performance, because honestly, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on all the Contender Series guys. They come so thick and fast. I think these guys have had one or two fights in the UFC each. In fact, actually, I think Manuel Cap's been in the UFC for ages. So sorry, Davey Grant. But he's been extremely inactive. So again, hopefully he can get back on the horse with a win. But if nothing else, they are exciting fighters. Might not be a lot of divisional importance, but it will still be good ones to watch. The last fight on the main card, or opening it up, is Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart.
Yes.
Another Brit on the card for us. Darren Stewart's normally quite an exciting fighter, as is Eric Anders. Anders has not really shown the best cardio in his time with the UFC, and Darren Stewart is starting to show more of a well-rounded game. So I'll pick Stewart for the win, but he might find himself slightly undersized. I mean, Eric Anders has gone up and fought as high as light heavyweight. Not really been too successful there, but I just think Darren Stewart's got enough in the bag. He's got the more experience out of the two. He's the more patient fighter.
Yeah.
I think if it does happen to hit the floor, surprisingly for a British fighter who's known as a knockout artist, he has got a fairly confident ground game. So yeah, I picked Stewart for the win there, and as like I say, as Brits, although we remain unbiased, we'll secretly hoping he'll win.
Obviously. Right, in MMA news, can we talk about the upset from last week's pay-per-view?
Yes, so some of the fallout really from last
please.
week's UFC 259 card.
Because my God, it's been weird.
The most controversial fight on that card was the ending to the Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling fight. So as we now know, Aljamain Sterling took the belt by disqualification, which is the first time it's ever happened in the UFC. I mean, I don't think anyone's debating that Petr Yan threw that knee illegally. He's not even debating that himself.
No, of course he did. He put out an apology. Yeah, we believe it. Okay,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone like you're caught up in the moment. You're in a fight. Adrenaline's high. You see your guy down. You think he's about to get up. You're going to catch him.
What he said is he was focusing on Sterling's hands and making sure the hands weren't on the floor and just completely forgot about the knee. So he accepts he kind of messed up in the moment, which is fine. And I mean, as I say, on the night, Aljamain Sterling seemed to he didn't want the belt. He threw it immediately on the floor. And
even in his
to one of his corner.
Post interview with Rogan, even said that he wanted to run it back. It was it needs to happen again. Book it.
Yeah.
And now he's going around calling people out.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. So essentially, this all started with there was some photos later on that night of Aljamain Sterling when he got back to his house. It was clearly sort of an after party for him. And there were several photos of him pictured on social media, sort of holding the belt with his boys around him and stuff. Now, I kind of get that, having that party in and of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, you went out there, you did nothing wrong, you come home with the belt, great. But I think he messed up by putting those photos out publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
made him claim that you don't feel like a champion until you beat the guy properly for the belt.
Yeah.
Don't go out parading it around.
And don't go out calling other people out. You've got to be focusing on your...
I think there was some sort of confrontation between him and Henry Cejudo in Vegas. They've since carried on social media. Cejudo seems to have distanced himself a little bit from it now. But essentially, Sterling was calling out Cejudo for the next fight, which for me is ridiculous, man.
No, absolutely.
Granted, you did nothing wrong, but he didn't take that belt from Petr Yan.
I
mean, the way that fight was trending, Yan would have won comfortably. He was already up on 2 judges' scorecards before.
Even if he'd had 2 points deducted, it would have it still would have been fine.
Yeah, I think.
I think he would have just knocked him out anyway. Like it just would have been over. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think by the end of that round, it would have been 3 rounds to 1 to Petr Yan.
Yeah.
And the way the fight was going, you can only assume he would have won the 4th, or maybe even got a finish. I mean, Sterling was looking kind of done before he landed that illegal knee. So I mean, it's a shame the fight ended like that. But yeah, I think the way Sterling's acted is going to lose himself a lot of fans after this fight.
Oh God, yeah. And the worst was I was rooting for him. After this, now I just can't even. He's not a champion. He is not a champion just yet. He was.
I feel a bit for Petr Yan, and I know it's his fault he got disqualified, but things are coming a bit thick and fast at the top now. You got TJ Dillashaw is obviously the former champion. He's able to compete again now. Who else was up there? Oh, Henry Cejudo, the former bantamweight champion, has also said that he's planning to end his retirement. I mean, I think he didn't really retire in the first place. He kind of overplayed his hand, thinking Dana would beg him to come back, and Dana instantly stripped him of the belt and dropped him out the rankings. So it's not really gone as well for him as he thought. His reason for retiring in the first place was to go and sort of start a family with his new girlfriend, and the girlfriend broke up with him about a month after he retired. So I think he's regained his competitive spirit. I mean, he's a former world champion Olympic champion in wrestling, world champion in 2 weight classes at the UFC. So he's got his accomplishments. He could really upset the division, but I think he needs to come back and challenge maybe the winner of this fight, or maybe fight Dillashaw first. But for me, that Yan and Sterling rematch has got to happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no other rematch that needs to happen more than that one.
Sterling didn't prove that he was better than Yan. If anything, the opposite was true. Everyone saw the fight and everyone could see how it was going. The quicker they book that, the better. I'm hoping they do it at kind of May time, seems to be the rumour at the moment. They're pushing back the possible Conor and Poirier rematch back to the summer.
Oh God!
Which kind of segues into our next point. Tony Ferguson's now been booked, so they are starting to finally make some bookings at the top of that division. He's written about Benel Dariush, ranked number 9 in the division, currently on a 6-fight win streak.
Yeah,
He's been around the UFC forever, and he's always been kind of at the lower end of the rankings. Dropped out for a while due to inactivity, but since he's come back, he's been on a tear. Yeah,
this is going to be interesting because obviously Tony Ferguson, ever since Gaethje, has not had a great time.
He's not looked the same. No.
And I like Ferguson. I like watching him fight. Don't get me wrong, he gets hit a lot.
I don't think you'll find many US fans that don't like Tony Ferguson, to be honest.
He's just good at it. He's
one of the most exciting fights to watch in all of MMA. And in terms of finding someone with grit and heart, you'd be hard pushed to find anyone better.
Absolutely.
But I think his styles has pushed him over his style and his age combined.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of miles on him, and he is signed at, I think, 36 now. It's long been a fact in lighter divisions that kind of the older you get, the quicker you wear. It's not like getting away being a 40-year-old heavyweight. Being a lightweight in your late 30s is not normally good news. Which Dariush is as well. I think those couple of years off seem to have helped his chin. And since he's come back, granted he's not been fighting the high level of competition that Ferguson has, but he's looked outstanding over the last sort of 2-3 years. So
this is a big fight for the lightweight. This is
a big turning point for both men.
Yeah, if Ferguson's going to come back and could he make another run? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, neither of them are going to immediately trouble a title shot. I would hope this starts forcing them into some bookings with Oliveira, Chandler, Gaethje, and Poirier.
Yeah, but do we not? All right. So do we not think that?
Leave McGregor out of it, to be honest. I know it's unlikely to happen.
Yeah, because they're not going to drop him.
Poirier and McGregor rematch already seems to be kind of a done deal.
But now we need to talk about the lightweight title. Where is that going? Because Khabib is still technically champion.
I mean, the only other option they've got really, if they are booking Poirier and McGregor, it's got to be Chandler Oliveira, I think, because it can't feasibly put Gaethje back in a title shot, having just lost his last fight in such a convincing fashion to the champion.
Yeah.
So for me, it does leave them with a Chandler Oliveira booking. My only question is whether Chandler deserves a title shot after winning one fight against Dan Hooker.
Exactly. He needs another fight in him.
Yeah.
Will they not make?
He was the face of Bellator for a long time, but he didn't come over with the belt.
Yeah.
He'd already been beaten by one of the Pitbull brothers. Knocked out Benson Henderson, I think, in his last appearance at lightweight, but that's in Bellator. But I mean, that's 2020 Benson Henderson, not the old guy who was UFC champion. So how much stock you want to put in that, I don't know. For me, I think Chandler's got to show something else. Maybe even Chandler Gaethje, but then I don't feel like the Oliveira's got to sit around in the meantime waiting.
He's got to fight someone.
Yeah, at some point the belt's got to get moving again. I think it's been made perfectly clear by Khabib, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the size of him at last weekend's card when he fought in Islam Makhachev. He's not making lightweight again in that.
Never. He's out. He's done. He's like he's taking
his
his dad's role.
It could be coming back, but they need to somehow get those kind of 4-5 fighters.
Like Poirier said at the end of the fight with McGregor, that to him that was the title fight, and I agree. That should have been that. Like at that point, the belt was out. Like
I don't agree that should have been the title fight, just because I don't agree McGregor should have been in a title fight.
Barring that,
one fight in the lightweight division since 2016, so putting him in a title fight makes no sense at all. However, Poirier should now be fighting for the title, and to me, they should just make Poirier versus Oliveira. Make Gaethje Chandler for the next man to fight for the belt, and let Conor go and have that trilogy with Nate Diaz. Because at the moment, he's the one that's holding up the division. I don't see why. I do see why he's the money man.
Of course,
but it's going to get the best payday in theory, but still, like in terms of sporting merit, there's no way he should be in the picture in the first place. Just push him up to welterweight, let him go and have some sort of entertaining money fight there. It doesn't matter to the division. And let these guys kind of sort out that top pecking order of lightweight. Which need the belt back in circulation. But
this is it. No one's fighting for anything at the moment. Everyone just knows that no one's better than Khabib. So what? He's just got to sit there with the belt.
Since 2016 and 2015, that belt's been defended once a year, which is not good enough. You can't just keep chucking sort of interim titles at it and hope the problem will go away. You need to get the belt moving again. So I'm hoping this will start speeding them up. They've got Ferguson, but we just had a load of heavyweights in the last couple of months.
Maybe some lightweights now will be
maybe a lightweight kind of making some news at lightweight will help us. And then from there we'll move into the featherweight division, the ladies one. To move just a step closer to being folded this week. Megan Henderson fought out the last fight of her contract against Amanda Nunes last week. Obviously wasn't a great fight for her. She lasted 2 minutes before getting subbed, which is better than some ladies. But
Amanda Nunes just showed what she does best though.
But to the point, she's now out of contract. The UFC has shown no desire to try and re-sign her. I mean, there really is no one in the division there that Nunes hasn't beat, apart from some lady who's fighting soon. She's got a record of 1-0. So even if she wins, you can't put her in there with Nunes.
No,
I don't think any responsible commission would sanction it. So. Yeah, it looks to me as if that fight's possibly going away. I don't know whether they'll leave the belt on Nunes just so she's sort of got the two belts still. I think she's earned that right. And maybe if something interesting does happen, like Kayla Harrison dropping down to lightweight and signing from PFL, or Clarissa Shields, who's recently announced to move from boxing to MMA. Those fights could happen as kind of a super fight, if you will. Not that the UFC's ever shown much tendency for cross-promoting, but if you throw enough money someone's way, they might sign for you. So I think maybe leaving a belt on her just so she can defend it as the case comes up, but I don't see the point in them having this division myself anymore. They've never had rankings since it's been established in the first place. And a lot of Amanda Nunes' defences have just been against bantamweight, so you don't have to cut so much weight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, the talent isn't obviously there at the moment. It won't be such a sad loss to see that division go, but it's whether you want to still class Amanda as a double champ. It'd be hard to do that if they properly, officially fold.
If the division's gone, then Amanda's goes back to being just.
I mean, honestly,
champion.
they could
But it
just
doesn't
book
really
no
matter.
fights in that division and no one would notice.
Who cares? Who cares if Amanda Nunes has one champion? She's still the best of her division. She's still probably second, third best of all time.
There's no argument to be made at the moment that she's the best female combat sports athlete, and she's up there amongst, let's say, the all-round pound for pound athletes, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I can see the appeal of leaving that belt on her, just so if someone else does come through at that weight class, the only people who look like they might be able to challenge her in the future are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Currently fighting at lightweight or up. So I can see the sense in keeping the belt, but the division itself, just let it stagnate for a bit. It's fine.
Yeah.
No one's begging to see Norma Dumont versus Felicia Spencer. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
And with that, I think it wraps up most of the goss for this week.
Oh yes.
Obviously, we'll be back tomorrow, usual time, kind of in the evening, for our full recap of Edwards versus Mohammed. UFC 21, UFC in Vegas 21 main card. If there's anything you want us to speak about, obviously drop a comment down below. And if you like more MMA news, then please like and subscribe to the channel. We shall see you all soon, guys. Peace out.